Professor Adesalo. Please, can we hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My chairperson, good evening, ma.
Good evening. Good evening, ma. Is that Professor Adesalo?
Yes, I'm the one talking.
Okay. So please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
You are all welcome to this webinar. And we wish that at the end of this, all of us that are here, we want to first of all congratulate us for the first step. And we are moving to the next step. This webinar is being organized less than 48 hours. So cannot but to appreciate our speaker for giving us this time. And we pray and believe that they will have lots of better understanding on how to put our proposals together by Monday. We're not going to waste much of our time. We're going to have our more agenda that we'll put together to about the welcome. I want to first of all welcome our chairperson in person of Professor Folashade Olajuyigbe. Welcome, we thank you for your restless service because I sent a message to her and less than 24 hours, I got the message that we're going to have this webinar. Thank you so much, ma, for your commitment and kindness putting this together. We also want to appreciate our speaker for today. You can imagine if the information to our chairperson is less than 48 hours, and our speaker today, you can imagine how many hours that we have to put. But because of the words of experience that he has, we cannot but to thank him for accepting to put us together. And we'll promise that we're going to do our best within the 2-3 days putting that result together. So let us use our reaction to welcome, to appreciate our chairperson and our speaker for today. Let's clap for them. We have our react there to appreciate them. We thank you so much. Our speaker for today is no other person than Professor Christopher Akinbile. He did it for us when we're about to put in our concept notes. And many of us eventually got that thing approved. We got our concept note approved. We're saying thank you to him, but we are Oliver Twist. So we've passed that stage. We're now asking him to please put us in this other stage of the next submission. Thank you, Professor, for accepting to put us through this second phase. We talk about OWSD Nigeria. Let me see if I can share my slide. To this, I want to share this slide here about OWSD Nigeria. Let me go back to, where is this? Let me go back so that we have our web page. I'm not seeing this. I need to. Okay, let me quickly talk about OWSD Nigeria. I had intention of sharing the website before, but I can still do that. So that we know that we are online. Let me go to, no, this is not the entire. The way this thing is structured. Now, let me talk about OWSD Nigeria. In Nigeria, we have, if you check our website, you will see about 1,975, but we are more than that. We're up to like 3,000 members of this association in Nigeria, and we have about 52 fellows from us. And for this executive, we have Professor Folashade Olajuyigbe as our chairperson. We have Professor Chioma Nwakama as our vice chairperson. As myself, Adesalu Taofikat, I'm the General Secretary. Then we have Dr. Onikbede Olufunke, our Treasurer. If you go to our page, just type OWSD Nigeria. You will see lots more because I don't want to waste much of our time. It's an organized association. It's an organized association, and we do more with women. It's mainly for women. Anyone that knows the career or your profession has to do 1+1 together, you are part of it. Even if you are in the secondary school, the only thing is that the branch has to be domiciled in one of the universities. So you can be the member, you can be in research institutes, you can be an accountant, you can just join any of the branches that you have around your area. Having said that, we now move to which I've done the introduction of our national chairperson, and now I will now call on our national chairperson in person of Professor Olajuigbe to give us opening remarks. While she's giving us that opening remarks, I may just go and put that website I was trying to search to share it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my National Secretary, Professor Taofikat Adesalu. Good day, distinguished colleagues and members of OWSD Nigeria. I also recognize everyone joining us this evening for this webinar. I'm so happy and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this second webinar in our grant writing series. The success of our first webinar, which we had in August, has been highly encouraging, with many of our members having their concept notes for the TETFund NRF grants approved. And it's on this success that we are building today. And so we have today's webinar focused on writing competitive and successful research proposal for the TETFund NRF grants, which will be closing on 10th February 2026. That's next week, Tuesday. So we can see that this session is very timely and is designed to equip participants with practical insights, which will be closing on and strategies to strengthen their TETFund NRF proposals and enhance competitiveness. We all have the opportunity for the question and answer session after the webinar presentation. So I encourage everyone to please get your pen ready and put down your questions as you listen to today's lecture. On this note, I would like to welcome or introduce our guest speaker, Professor Christopher Akimbile. Professor Akimbile is the Dean, School of Infrastructure, Minerals and Manufacturing Engineering, Federal University of Technology, Akure, Nigeria. Our guest speaker is a seasoned academic and grant-winning researcher with extensive experience in developing high-impact, fundable research proposals. So please join me in warmly welcoming our distinguished professor, Professor Christopher Akimbile, as the National Secretary reads his profile before his presentation. You are welcome, Professor Akimbile.
Thank you, Chairperson, for that lovely introduction of our keynote speaker, guest speaker, special speaker for today. We appreciate you. Let me quickly read the short bio of Professor Christopher Akimbile. Engineer Professor Christopher Oluwakunmi Akimbile obtained his Bachelor of Engineering, BEng, degree with second-class honors, upper division, from the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Futa, in 1999. He earned his master's and doctoral degrees in agricultural engineering with specialization in soil and water engineering from the University of Ibadan in 2001 and 2009, respectively. Please let us use our react to be appreciating our speaker for today as I'm doing a citation. Professor Akimbile joined FUTA in October 2004 as a lecturer 2 from the University of Uyo and progressed steadily through the academic ranks, attaining the position of professor in October 2016. He has benefited from extensive international exposure, serving as a postdoctoral fellow in universities in Malaysia, but that's between 2010 and 2011, and as a visiting scientist in University Putra, Malaysia, in 2015 under the auspices of the World Academy of Science, TWAS. Please, let's give him our emoji to appreciate him. You know, TWAS is part of us. We are one. No wonder he's accepting this within the shortest period of time that we're giving him. Once again, thank you, Professor Akimbile, for this. With over 100 scholarly publications, Professor Akimbile's research has gained international recognition, including the Wiley Award for Top Cited Article, that was 2020 and 2021 in Atmospheric Science Letters. He has held numerous leadership and service roles, including membership of TETFund's National Research Fund Screening and Monitoring Committee, and Secretary of the TETFund National Research Fair. Within FUTA, he has served on several statutory committees and currently chairs the FUTA Sports Council. Internationally, he has represented Nigeria as a facilitator, speaker, and coordinator at high-level climate and engineering forums. Professor Akimbile is a fellow of several professional bodies, a registered engineer with Koren, and editor-in-chief of multiple professional newsletters. Currently serves as the first elected dean and first alumnus dean of the School of Infrastructure, Minerals, and Manufacturing Engineering in FUTA. Join me in welcoming our speaker for today, our achiever, a good, kind-hearted man, the spirit that he has, that he did the pre-concept notes for us, and all of us have a positive result. You can see that that man is in spirit, because some people will give you such thing at the end of the day. You might not even understand. By the time you put it together, many of you might not get it. So we are appreciating you. So everybody, please join me in welcoming Engineer Professor Christopher Olakunmi Akimbile. So give us the best winning full proposal as we move forward. Thank you so much, Professor.
Good evening, everyone. I want to say I'm humbled by the citation. I appreciate God for that privilege. It is not a man's effort, it is just by divine providence. And also would like to congratulate the successful winners of the concept note. That's just the first stage and very important. Also, the national president or chair now of this noble organization, my big sis, Professor Folashade Olajigbe, and my wife is also a member of this group, so it's like I'm also a member, as it were. So quickly, let me just run through. I like you to pay attention. One, because the time is short, and number two is like I'm giving you an expo, because this is what we're likely going to use to assess the full proposal. So if you're able to get this, I have no doubt you have a 75% chance of making it. I didn't really want to come because it's like I've just given you the answer. But on the second thought, since we are all teachers, at least most of us are teachers, I think there's a way you can actually do it for students not to know that you're actually giving the answers by the way you structure your questions. But please just pay attention. I'll be very brief because like I told the chair, I have another meeting in about an hour's time. So I just run through the basic steps to guide full proposal development prior to submission. Of course, you are aware that we are way behind schedule. This procedure should have been concluded in 2025, but for some exigencies and some administrative bottlenecks, that actually delayed it. That's why the time given to submit full proposal is short, and the window will be closing by next week. So the first I need to do is to congratulate everyone that have been successful. I think it's just a time, and like I said, it's just the first phase. You need to really settle down. I know by now a good number of people under the sound of my voice should have prepared their proposals. But you're still thinking that whatever you're going to get here will actually help in actually do some slight modification and panel beating and fine tuning to get something that could actually be acceptable. Always have it at the back of your mind that for your proposal to be funded, it must be able to solve a problem. If you are going to do basic research, basic fundamental research, it's not likely going to be considered. If you're going to do research that will end up on the shelf, it's likely that we will not look in that direction. But if you are contributing to national development by solving problems, no matter how small it is, somebody will look at it. And the structure is such that two distinguished professors that do not know one another will look at your proposal. So if one scores you low, or if the gap is wider than what we had set, then the two will have to meet one another and then reconcile, either to argue for upward review of the mark of the other one who had scored low, or to argue for the downward review of the one who had an enormous score high. And if no compromise was reached, now the leadership will step in and bring a new and totally independent person that is knowledgeable about the usually professor in that field, to have an unbiased assessment and score independently. So by and large, this is what we do to ensure that there is no clash of interests, conflict of interest. At the same time, as much as possible, we have a measure of excellence and integrity in our scoring. Now, those who are from the Southwest are not likely going to have access to their proposals because I am from Southwest. Most likely the one they will be sending to me will be the ones from the North, North Central, Northeast, and people who I do not have any prior contact with, because that will also be considered to be a conflict of interest. If you are sending proposal for people that have applied for FUTA, for instance, to me, you don't expect me to score them low, no matter how bad the proposals are, because naturally there will be this emotional attachment that this is my institution, these are my colleagues, and then it will be a good thing if they are also privileged to also be a grant winner. So these are steps you must know as you take your notes and you pay attention to what we are saying. There are three rules, simple rules. If you don't go after what you want, you won't have it. And if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. And if you don't step forward, you remain at the same place. For my time, I'm really pressed for time, but the chair insisted and persisted that please just give us time. Thursday, this and that. By now, she knows that I have some things I should be doing on my way out of the country for another SOAS fellowship, SOAS UNESCO fellowship that I'm about to take off by this weekend. So these rules, let it resonate in our mind. Now, why do we do research? There's a perception pyramid. Is it because you want to make money? Is it because you want to be known? Is it because you want to also boost the ego of your CV? Or what? That's why. Is it a fact? Is it a perception? Is it a reality? This is just similar to inaugural lecture. Some people feel, professors, that giving an inaugural lecture is sheer waste of resources. While some will have given inaugural and still want to give valedictory on their way out, at least to showcase what you are professing over. You're a professor. What are you professing? So we need to get that perception right and make sure that there's a link between our perception, our reality, and our fact. How are we perceived in our quest for having a grant winning from TETFund, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund? I want to believe a good number of people on this channel may have won the IBR, the institution-based research, 2 million, 3 million, but NRF is about 50 million. That's that's a lot of money. Consider whatever way you call it, however you look at it. Don't mind our exchange rate and all that. That is still good money. Now, the quality of research you do may vary based on your area of expertise, may vary based on what you want to achieve and all that. But what do you do with it if eventually you get it? What do you say about what you are doing, and what do you think? These questions are very important. Okay? Now, this is the research cycle. You start thinking publishing. We have a slogan that you publish or you perish. You have a procedure you adopt, your method you follow, the expected results. These are all that you put in like a cooking pot that you want to cook a soup. Then you bring in all the ingredients. This is what it's here. And then the process is first to generate an idea, which you have done. And then you develop a concept note, which again you have done. You have identified a funder, which is TETFund, which you also have done. You now are at the level of submitting the proposal that could be funded. I want to shock you, unfortunately, that it's not everybody that have successful concepts that the proposals will be funded. It did not take anything away from the fact that the proposals are good, but the way and manner with which you present them actually matters. It's just like our CV. Your CV is who you are. So that if you are not there, your CV should speak on your behalf. People should know who you are through your CV. If you are hiding information, people will think you don't have it. But if you give too much information, people will think there's more to what you are given. So our proposal should be able to be such that a non-professional should be able to understand the concept and what you are trying to achieve before you submit and you are successful and have a grant. Very important. All right. This is the cycle. And our expected end is you have grants and you are happy. If the grant is delayed, you don't mind. The file remains that you have a letter that you have won a grant and the money will eventually be paid. This is it. But the good number of us are in this category because our output does not justify what we are putting. Some will say, oh, my proposal is marginalized. Some will say, no, they play politics. Some will say, oh, they didn't read it very well. Some will say, who are the people that are there? If you look at the caliber, if I give you the names and the caliber of the people there, everybody in the NRF screening and monitoring committee are grant winner. Everybody. And a good number, more than 77% of the people in that group, are either serving vice chancellors, former vice chancellors, 2 times vice chancellors, or people who are holding very high positions, not HOD level. Even deans, deanship people are very few. People like us are very few. You hear people who are deputy vice chancellor serving VC, somebody who has been VC of a federal university, of a state university, and of a private university. And they have attracted grants. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They've attracted Wellcome Trust grants. They've attracted George Foster. They've attracted DWA, and what have you. So they are not mediocres. And these are high-level professionals, until the current executive secretary of the National University Commission was appointed. He was a member of the group. And if you see his profile, he's intimidating. But why is it that our output does not justify what we are putting? We're going to be showing you some of those things today. And writing a successful proposal is not the kid's play. Once you get it right, it begins to move like that. Anyone you do, you know exactly how to go about it, how to administer, how to present in a way that will be understood and people can fund it. And it requires a whole lot of collaboration, a whole lot of partnership, and a whole lot of cooperation, working together. That's the first point you must keep, and as your takeaway today. Because as a PI, once the grant is given, eventually it will be, you think you are the one that did all the work and that other people are not of lesser importance, then that project may not actually see the light of the day if you go in that way. But if you understand the power, the extent of collaboration, then you begin to see what you need to see as far as your project is concerned. So quickly now, let's go to those points. What must you do as a PI? Very important. I told you this is more like the guide for our assessments. The only thing I didn't do is, number one, I didn't put the points, I didn't put the marks. And number two, I will try as much as possible not to tell you exactly what we are looking for. Nobody is going to stop you here about the number of words with respect to your introduction, your methodology, and what have you. You're at liberty to write as much as you can. But I want to also remind us that when you give too much information, you expose yourself to too much attack. We expect a concise, a brief report that we can read in good time because we're just 54. And I think the success rate of the concept note is in the neighborhood of about 4,000. And we'll be given a deadline as to when to submit the report so that TETFund can fund it. This cycle you are doing currently is for 2025, and we will still kickstart 2026, go through the call for concept note submission. People will submit, we assess, and then after that, you communicate to the successful PIs, ask them to submit the proposals. We'll go over that again. And for 2026, maybe that will spill over to 2027. I don't know. Remember, 2027 is a very pivotal year for Nigeria. It's an election year. And so I know a number of things will have to be rounded off so that you don't allow it to clash with election, because election is a major, major, major assignment for every Nigerian. So what should you do along with all the other team members? The title is the first one, very important and very critical. The title and the keyword should be apt to describe exactly what you want to do. Now, don't repeat your title in your keywords. I'm sure we have had this times and over again when we submit papers for publications. All right. And we say that it should be less or equal to 20 words. For everything I'm saying here, may I remind us once again that there is a mark for it. So please pay very close attention. If you give too long title, it will affect your grading. If you give too short, too brief title, it will also affect, because it may hide information that should be necessary for the would-be assessor to have access to. All right? Now, also ensure that your title coincide with the thematic area. There are people that are in the wrong thematic areas. The mark there is low, but we still score. So if you are, for instance, in SETI, Science, Engineering, Technology, and Innovation, and we find your proposal in cross-cutting CC or HSS, I've forgotten what H, something sciences, then we will score, but we will mark you down, because we have had to argue that times and over again. That, well, it's not their fault. They said, no. This is a competition. This is a race. That every paying attention to minutest details is very important. So if you are bringing in emotions, that means the money is a dash, it's a Father Christmas. No, it's not. It's for research. And that there is more like an examination. So you have to pay attention to ensure that your thematic area aligns with your title and what have you. The next you must consider is the executive summary. I will just, drop touch like that. The executive summary we say should be less than 600 words, and it should summarize your research project in a way that even a non-expert can understand what you are going to do and can appreciate your contribution to the body of knowledge. But if you write and you put all the scientific jargons, for instance, if you're in life sciences and you are putting all the scientific names, botanical names and all that, such that by the time we finish reading, we couldn't even know the head from the tail, then the fellow will be forced to give a mark that is commensurate to his understanding of your summary. All right? And your estimated budget, please, after putting it in figure, put it in words. We have had to disqualify proposals that in figure, the fellow wrote 48.6 million naira, which is within the estimated, the maximum cap. But by the time he was putting it in figures, he wrote, in words, he wrote 480 billion. So we're not too sure what he wanted to do. Of course, TETFund won't give that kind of an amount to an individual or group of individuals. So it was disqualified because there's a disparity between the budget, both in words and in figures. Somebody also maybe was trying to be modest and gave a budget of 5 million. It was also disqualified. Why? We consider it ridiculous enough for NRF that should be scaled down to IBR. So there must be a balancing act between your upper limit of what you are given, excuse me, and the lower limit. Why I will not encourage anybody to quote exactly 50 million? Because the first thing that will come to the mind of your would-be assessors, 50 million. You want to collect all the 50 million. What do you want to do with it? You also shouldn't underestimate or shortchange yourself by quoting 5, 6, 7 million. Because we wonder what we want to do with 7, 6 million. Should have just gone for IBR. When you finish the first tranche, you ask for another one, and then you'll be given. Very important. Your introduction should be detailed, and you justify why you're there. I told you, it has to have a semblance of solving problems. If it's not solving problems, excuse me, you may not be successful. I'm not saying every proposal should or must solve all problems, but let it contribute in a way. Let it contribute in a way. Hello, who is this? And the host help us mute this so that we are not distracted. It should be able to contribute to development as much as you possibly can. Not you are doing.
You are muted, sir.
I apologize for that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
So I said your introduction should be detailed and should justify that you should be able to address tropical issues. And I gave an example that if your study is doing survey mortality rate of children between the age 0 to 5 years, so that what? But if you are solving a problem that has to do with COVID for a possible prevention in the unlikely event of reoccurrence, you are solving a problem. There are two different things. Or you want to find out how many first generation vehicles are still on our road. To do what? Is it for national planning? Is it that you want to phase them out? Is it that you want to establish a plant to be able to produce the spares, or what? So please think about this and let it reflect as you develop your proposal. Number two is, what is the relevance of what you are doing to Nigeria's development? That's why they are funding it. That's why they are funding it. If it does not have, if what you are doing is solving a problem for another country, for instance, somebody is writing a proposal on icebergs, for instance, or you are writing a proposal on hailstones, you're writing a proposal on things that are strange or foreign to us, you are as good as just wasting your time. Very important. What about your aims and specific objectives? It should be such that it must be smart. Talking about specific, measurable, it has timelines, and what have you, leading to procedures and outcomes. You should also be able to tell us your specific objectives and, the aims, which is to do this and this. What are the specific objectives, step by step, of the main goals of the research should be elucidated. Very important. Let it be such that by the time you are writing, you are thinking, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Does it have timeline? Because for everything you start, you must be thinking of the end. And I also want to announce to us, I'm sure we know this, that in solving a problem, you create another problem as part of your recommendation, so that you don't end up solving a problem that has already been solved elsewhere, that we're already importing the solution, but something that could be globalized. Mark my word, globalized. As you are thinking globally, you are acting locally. Very important. What about the statement of the problem? You talk about the description of the challenge that is leading you to doing the work that you want to do, and then you clarify. And what is the scope? Are you solving a problem that will have applicability in southwestern Nigeria, for instance? Does it have a national spread, geographical spread? Is it going to be the one that will be prevalent in the north? These are things you must also factor in when you are writing the statement of the problem. A lot of people, a lot of researchers get it wrong at the level of conceptual framework, and it's unfortunate, very unfortunate. People do some people repeat their justification, some repeat the scope, some repeat literature review here. So when we talk about the conceptual, what about the framework for the concept that you have? It's talking about the theoretical basis for the research problem and the methodology you are doing. Has that be an existing method of actually doing the work? Is there a way by which you are going to do a bit different from what has been done before, so that you can get a result slightly different from what has been in town? These are things you must specify here. You could use it, you can do it graphically, you can do it with words, depending on the one that communicates the idea to the would-be reader or would-be assessor. And the second thing you must understand is the ability to properly situate the proposed research in the knowledge space, in the field, within the context of where you are working. It's also very important. So how do you situate your research in such a way that within the space, I'm in engineering, agricultural engineering, and I do a lot of environmental engineering, talking about the climate. How do I ensure that food security is achieved using some of these climatic parameters? Those are the things I consider. What are the ones I have control over? What are the ones I don't have control over? How do I mitigate the effect of climate change so that population is increasing, people can eat, at the same time we're not going to begin to eat ourselves like what happened in the Bible days? Those are things that get our mind. But you know that the issue of rainfall, no man has control over that. The issue of flooding, you can mitigate it. And if there are seedlings that are so viable to the extent that germs, pests, and all that are destroying them, how do we adapt it such that we make them tolerant to these climatic factors that are endangering, our environment? These are things that get us thinking. We bring in mathematical models, we bring in land survey, land use, land pattern ULC, and so on and so forth, to ensure that, we minimize or we reduce to the barest minimum the effects of climate change, at the same time that man can still salvage the land for its own intended use on a sustainable basis. So situate your research within the context or the sphere of your thematic area. That's exactly what I mean by the conceptual framework. Now, what are your goals and what is the impact? What are your expected outputs, the outcome? Is it going to lead to product development? Is it just contribute to the body of knowledge? Are you going to modify the existing product to be to the benefit of mankind? These are things that you should be thinking about when you're actually having to write. These are topics, these are subtopics that I think will be very good for you when you are writing. If you don't have it structured in this form, you can adjust it a little to suit this so that it will actually suit the marking guide when people are actually grading. And then what is the impact? Is it just going to target a little community where you have developed it, if it's going to be a product that is developed, or is it going to be something that will be of beneficial? Why is it that the people in biochemistry, people in particularly medical biochemistry, people in medical sciences are having to win more than those of us in other form of applied science? Is because when they target cancer patients, for instance, with their product, or they target people who are obese, or they target people that are diabetic, you probably will not say there is no demographic area that does not have such people. So it appeals to logical reasoning that if this will solve the problem of somebody, maybe the person reading your work is even diabetic, and you see somebody developing a solution that will be cheaper, that will be affordable, that will be easily accessible, and that will prolong his life. Naturally, he will be favorably disposed to scoring that high because in developing a product, you are solving a problem. That's the impact. So you should consider it along. Those are the milestones that you use to measure what you have written for your full proposal. And if it's not there, you can say adjust. You see how from now till I think Tuesday or thereabout to be able to adjust it. Your literature review, you cannot do literature review that will take a whole lot and people will just be bored reading your review of literature. Be brief with recent works as it relates to what you are doing. And I will actually encourage and advise the oldest of your literature should not be more than 10 years, except in some extreme cases where that reference you are citing is a foundation upon which all other people are building. We have one like that in my field. We call it permanent. That fellow did permanent model, and that one was done in 1965. Everybody referred to it. There's also Allen et al. In 1978 that is also common to those of us in soil and water conservation that we use in actually estimating evapotranspiration. Apart from those foundational works like that are groundbreaking, don't let your reference be more than 10 years or max 12 years old, because it speaks volume of the recency will be scored of the references. But if you are having 80s, 70s, and the most recent you have is 2021, yeah, we probably will think that you have not done enough research. And then your ability to properly situate the proposed research in the knowledge space in the field is also very important. In other words, how do you ensure that you are not plagiarizing at the same time you are bringing that information within the context of the space of your research area, such that we can see the meat of your contribution? That's what some people will call novelty. What is novel in what you are doing? We want to see it. Your methodology, your sampling and sample preparation. I'm sure those of us who have published in where am I? Methodology. Yeah. Sorry, I want to move this. So the sampling and sample preparation, those of us who are published in very good journals will tell you that your methodology should be easy to be reproduced. In other words, if you do a research in Minnesota or you do it in Texas and you get this kind of result, if I repeat it, if I'm not getting that result, it may be due to the climatic variation. I should need to repeat your methodology. And then the appropriate procedures and equipment. Please, when you are doing this, ensure that you have information about the equipment you are using. Because we have seen some scholars lying about equipment that does not exist in the institution that they say they will be using to actually do some certain experimentation. Your data analysis and interpretation should be sound. If you're not a good statistician, get someone, you get a professional that can help you to design the data analysis and then how to actually interpret it when the data comes. Now, what are the KPI? You must have activities and output indicators. What are the major activities and output? What about the time frame? Timelines should be there. You have a Gantt chart that tells you from where you are starting and where you are ending, And then the performance. What are the milestones that indicate the progress you have made? These are also very important. You must also have in place a team that will do M&E, monitoring and evaluation, because this is inbuilt to actually communicate the outcome in a manner that will be understood. This should be part of your proposals that you are going to be submitting. What are the strategies? How do you check? How do you balance to ensure that you deliver the project on time without shooting over the time that you have suggested? And then dissemination strategies. A lot of people also miss it there. They will begin to put so much amount of money that they want to go for conference in US and all that, such that they will be bigger than what should be for your instrumentation, even though there are percentages, you'll be given different percentages for which of the of this section. So you have to be very careful that if most all of you, if you are 10 in the group and you want to leave Akure, you want to go to Kano for a conference on the same work, does it make sense for all the 10 researchers to fly from Akure to Lagos first, Lagos to Kano, or from Akure to Abuja, and Abuja to Kano? You spend accommodation, feeding, and all the registration for the same paper. So that's where you lose money. That's where you lose money. So you have to really consider some of this information. And then the research team, it should be a mix of seniority, gender balance, interdisciplinary, and mentoring. Now, if you have if you have only the females, there's a question mark. What about the males? If you put all the males, there's a question mark. What about the females? Now, if the PI is graduate assistant and he has a professor as a team member, we put question mark. If the graduate assistant is lecturer, in fact, he won't even get to this level anyway, because the minimum is for a PI to be is SL. But if you are SL and all your team members are professors, we also query that, because there's no way that you are going to have it smooth with your seniors and superiors. But if the fellow is a professor and you have one or two professors spicing it up, male and female, and you have a few other younger lecturers, irrespective of their age, it will be easy for you to balance the team in a way that you can actually grow the project, discuss, and have a robust interaction that will improve your project. Very important. And then the profile, we will expect to see the profile of the team, relevance, experience from their CV. I've done one research grant before, their publication. Some people put people in the team that have never published in the area they are putting them. That's a red flag. Or somebody who has not published in the last 3 years and you are putting him as a team lead. The question is, what has he been doing in 3 years? And then you must set out the roles and responsibilities in a distinct manner. As a PI, you are the overall coordinator, the buck stops on your desk. At the same time, you have a contribution. The next one maybe is the one that will be doing the data analysis and whatever. The next one maybe is the one that will coordinate the field work and what have you. The next one will be the one that will actually interact and will do the literature search and actually, everybody should have what they are doing. Your assigned responsibilities. Number next is the host's institution support. It is expected that in addition to the money that TETFund will give, if eventually you succeed, there should be support from your host institution. Do we have space for the project? Do they have offices? If you are going to buy Hilux from 44 million, you probably will not get it. It's expected that those utility vehicles can be given to you, maybe if you want to lease by your host institution. What is available on ground that is functioning? What are the equipment that you have? What are the ones you want to buy? What are the ones you want to leave? You want to see. Is it available within the vicinity to support the project? What are the technical facilities, the technologies, the technical staff? How are they coming into it in terms of research project space and the equipment and material? This should be spelled out so that we know that, look, you are not just taking the money you want to go and marry another wife if you're a man, or that you're taking the money and you want to complete your building if you're a woman, but rather you are doing serious work that can actually improve Nigeria. Very important. And the final point here is budget. This is where a lot of people miss it, because you must comply. That's why they put percentages for to pay. You put yourself on salary, and all the team members, you put them on a salary. It must not exceed maybe 15% of total budget. The one for the equipment and facility should not exceed maybe 25%. The percentage, you don't exceed the percentages. Don't think that members we'll be so much in a hurry not to check. We cross-check that a lot. We pick our phones, we cross-check, and when we are seeing the members of the team, we also search them on Scopus, on Google Scholar, in order to find out the area of strength and interest. We've seen people that pack everybody in that team does not have a single publication in the area they are pushing them, and that's a red flag. So by the time you go and we're taking the decision, those are the things that will inform our scoring and our final decision. So how do you justify the individual items for the budget? Factoring in inflation, because the money will not come on time. Okay? When I won my own NRF, the exchange rate was 180 to $1. By the time they were giving the money, it was around 600. So it was difficult for me to actually complete the program. And I wrote, and I was supported. What are the items, but are they all needed? Or there are things you can borrow and give back? Is the project achievable within the budget that you have? Or are you expecting budget elsewhere to supplement what you have? Is the total budget reasonable based on the benefits? And then you should also declare other details of sources of support for this work. Like I said at the beginning, all this carries mark. Every item I've shared with you tonight carries mark. It is over 100. I don't expect, you are all teachers. I don't expect anybody to score 100. But if you can get something well above 70, you may be on your way to be the next winner of NRF TETFund grant. Let me close like this. I hope I didn't bore you. Now, Mahatma Gandhi says the future depends on what we do in the present. So you must start tonight. And he also said, be the change that you wish to see in the world. That means it begins with you. How do you want to impact on your society? Now, Confucius is a Chinese philosopher too, who says if you plant for 1 year, you plant rice. If you plant for 10 years, you plant trees. But if you plant for 100 years, you educate the children. So this education is very important. And I must commend the officers and the executives of this noble organization for actually bringing this. And for the tenacity of your chair. Were it not for the respect, sincerely, I have enough things to do now to use this time. I told her by 7 I have to leave now. So we have to start educating ourselves to get it right and to get better. These are 10 categories of people in the world. Be among those who make things happen. Some people are watching things that happen. Some people do nothing for and without things that happen. Some people prevent things from happening, unfortunately. Some people speak bad things about what has happened. Some people laugh at what happened. Some people report what happened, but make things happen. And the final parting shot is this. Life is like riding a bicycle. And for you to keep your balance, you must keep moving. I hope I didn't bore you. This is my contact again. You can always get to me through the chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have to stop here now.
Thank you so much, Professor, for this presentation. We appreciate you. And to do the recap briefly, we can all see where Professor started and telling us how to prepare our mind and also to have our objectives clearly stated up to the fact that at the end of the whole thing, what do we want to achieve? What problem are we solving? And what is the impact of our research proposal to the community, to our locality, and to our country, Nigeria? We cannot but to thank you so much, sir, for this eye-opener things that you have given us. We'll also want to say thank you for the way the slides were being presented. Yoruba will say, no too much words, but they are loaded. The explanation is so explanatory enough for us. And thank you so much for giving us that your contacts, as you have done in the previous meeting that we had sometimes before our concept notes. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we are going back because some of us will realize that we have lots to do. All those long stories, now we have to be brief, but at the same time, we should not lose focus. In as much as we are trying to reduce the number of words, we must be really, really focused. It also lay emphasis on the state of the problem. What is the statement of the problem and the references that we are going to use.
My
So
secretary,
thank you
sorry
so much.
to
Do
cut
we
in.
have people for
Please,
questions?
our
You
speaker
can
will be
put it on the chat box. Okay, chairperson, yes. Okay, you have the floor, ma. So you can put your question on the chat box.
leaving soon. In case anyone has question, we can appointment for 7. And I think it's already, yeah. Yeah, please, you can go on.
Okay. Prof, sir, we have questions on our chat box. The first one is, except executive summary, is there word restriction to other subheadings? I think Prof have answered that for us. He said that there are no limitations, but
The
we
title,
be reasonable.
the
Yeah.
title should be less than 20 words, but subheadings no.
Thank you.
Now, the concept of restriction to 5 references, no, you have no restriction to references here, but ensure there are recent references that can actually add value to what you have actually discussed. And then, can you remove anyone who is showing stress from the team? This is serious because, yeah, at this stage, I think you can, but you must justify it. Because we also have seen cases where people had to disagree within the team, and because of their quarrel, you now want to remove, and then the TETFund frowns at it. But you just must talk about why the stress, maybe for whatever reason, you can do that. Where do we write references in literature? You can. You can reference in literature. You know what we do, how you can cite reference, but do not plagiarize. Don't copy verbatim. Refer to what has been done and how it actually affects what you are doing. Itemized statement of problem into background. Just follow the format, please. Don't collapse it. I've told you, if you started with me, that everything I've shared, they have mark. Everything adds up to 100 mark. So if you condense it into a title, and you put 3 other titles, we'll score it as just that title. And the other ones we didn't see. People who are rushing because you probably will have about 200 proposals to deal with in maybe 1 week or 1.5 weeks. So when we are considering that people may not be exactly thorough, do it in a way that as we are scanning through, we are picking what we need to score. It's just an advice anyway. It's not compulsory you follow my advice. What if your PI as a payment for money? When they start asking for money, when they refuse to pay, you can drop. Money is not the first thing you need to put in place. You need to get the job, get it accepted first and funded. In fact, we commended teams because I've also been part of the people that went for monitoring, that people had to divert the money meant for their salaries to get equipment for the first tranche. That when the final tranche comes, they will pay. It shows the priority, and those people are commended. But someone that is putting money ahead of whatever, I don't know. Is NRF for academic? No, not for private institution. However, a scholar in private institution can partner with people in public institution that are TETFund funded. Nobody in private institution can be a PI. But if you have PI, let's say in Futa and Elizabeth people want to join, it's welcome. Or somebody from OAU and Oduduwa University wants to join, why not? Or somebody from University of Ilorin, Landman want to join, no problem. But you cannot stand alone as a PI. And if you lie, unfortunately, our colleagues are doing this. If you lie, there is a way by which people check and find out where you are. And once they find that out, automatic disqualification. Oh, let me. I mean, I have a team with more professors. I didn't say it's a disadvantage. I say it only calls for a flag, a red flag. If you're a senior lecturer and every other members of your team is professor, can you give them instruction to do this and they will do it? Do generals receive orders from a major or from a colonel? I doubt. So those are the things we are looking at. But if you have lecturer 1, lecturer 2, and your PhD student, we know you can order them around, but not for professors. That's why we are thinking that may not be whatever. No, if it's a new area, we are not using publications or no publication. If it's a novel area that is emerging, for instance, the issue of artificial intelligence in agriculture is almost an emerging area in Nigeria. We will appreciate the fact that you are breaking new grounds there. That will not be a disadvantage for you. But if you are doing something that a good number of researchers have done and you don't have expertise in that, let me give you an example. I have a colleague that is also an agricultural engineer, but is into soil mechanics. I am into rice. I did my PhD on rice. He wrote a proposal for a funding agency that he wants to do rice. All the literature that he cited on rice, none belonged to, he didn't participate. And I was told to assess. And I asked a simple question. Somebody who is a professor of 6 years that has ever published in rice, are you sure he will manage this fund effectively? I allowed the funder to take the decision. Eventually, it was not given. You understand what I'm trying to say? So this is what we are saying. Can one appeal for fundraising funds affected by inflation? No, you factor in inflation into your funding. By the time you are having to bring in equipment from outside of the country, you factor in, the thing is fluctuating now. At some point it was 1,380. Now some people say it's now 1,004. If you want to buy now, I just bought it this morning. It's around 1,480. So you factor that in. Maybe by the time you are doing your medicine, you put it at 1,600 something or 1,710 or something. Factoring in that so that if you need to bring in equipment from outside at that rate, you can still tolerate. But if you say it's 1,004 and by the time they release the first tranche, the dollar has gone to 2,002, then you cannot but say you cannot do the work. If you cannot, you'll be forced to refund the money. That's where the issue is. I don't think there's any other major question. You pretty will allow me to go now. 4 minutes behind.
There are 2 questions, Prof.
Okay. Yeah, Prof, sir. There is this question, when you say your institution do not have equipment, the equipment they are talking about is not only about those equipment. What about the space? Prof have mentioned it. What about space that you are going to use? What about the electricity you are going to do? What about IT? If there's free network for you that you can use to search for literature review and all, those are the things that your institution is providing for you. So you cannot say that your institution has nothing to provide. So Prof have explained all that to us, ma. So Prof, I'll call
Can
on
I take my leave
chairperson.
now?
I'll call on chairperson now, ma, to give vote of thanks. Professor Olajigbe, ma.
Wow, thank you very much, my National Secretary, Professor Adeselu. I want to really, on behalf of OWSD Nigeria and everyone that is on this webinar, I want to say thank you so much to my brother and Dean and our guest speaker for today, Professor Christopher Akimbile. Thank you for the honor and thank you for the brilliant presentation. You are doing this again for us now. And because we have good testimony, wonderful testimony from the concept note seminar, our webinar, I believe that we'll have more because the glory of the latter will be greater than the former. So thank you so much for your time, for the sacrifice. I pray that you will not lose your reward in Jesus' name. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
Prof, can you quickly stop sharing so that we can on our video and take pictures, sir? Stop sharing so that we can take pictures. So everybody, please put on your video so that we see your lovely faces, so that we take picture. Okay, smile. Okay, the next group. Let me go to the next page. Please put on your video, please. We want to see your
Beautiful faces.
Okay.
Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
We
you all.
appreciate it.
So we look forward to hearing your successful stories, your research grants. We want to hear of winners. Thank you so much and God bless you. Have a beautiful evening. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Tuesday.